We welcome you back to Just Saying, the weekly webcast on the Standard Democrat website. Steve McFeeters and I join you again as we do every week. Let me start off by saying we thank you for joining us first, and we are always open to your suggestions, your comments, your criticisms. This program is designed to bring community leaders to this side every week to talk about issues that are important to Sikeston. Today we are honored and privileged to have the Director of Public Safety in Sikeston, Drew Juden, with us today. We have ample things to talk about, but I think the big thing that we all want to talk about and that we're all proud of is congratulations first on your part. The City Council, I think within the past couple of weeks, has approved construction of a new public safety building, which has been I know, a dream of yours for a long, long time and a need in our community. Tell us about the new building.
Well, it's going to look, from the outside, it'll look almost identical to the BMU building. It's, as you said, it's been long needed. We tried to look at the facility and make it practical. Mm-hmm. It's a no-frills building, if you will. Most of the floors in the building will be stained concrete or tile, something that's very low maintenance and,
right,
and easy to keep up with. It's going to have just about everything we need in it, right, under one roof, where now we're so scattered out. We keep records and reports at the fire station. We keep records at City Hall. We have evidence at the fire station. We just, it seems like we're just so scattered out, and this is going to bring everything into one facility.
We want to congratulate you, first of all, the City Council, your officers and people. The very first show Mike and I did was on the need for the DPS station, and we were glad that the council almost unanimously voted in favor of it. And obviously that the building you've been in was outdated and outmoded a long time ago. And we feel like our DPS has done a very good job in our community and needed something obviously better. I know cost was a concern for a long time, but the cost actually came in fairly reasonable, and the rate to finance it was low and long term. It just seemed like everything fell into place.
It did. When we started looking, we've been poking around at this for about 20 years, mm-hmm, real seriously for the past 10. One of the first architectural firms we talked with gave us a budgetary price of $250 a square foot. We brought this building in at $135 a square foot, wow, which is just unbelievable.
Right.
And it's going to be a nice facility. It's going to be a great place for the guys to work. We looked at business flow and how things were put together and where offices were located, and tried to make it as easy access to the public and public friendly as we can, but yet meet our needs as far as safety and security.
I know over the years, if there was something happening, there was a press conference, I don't know how everybody got in there, to the building. I don't know how you guys have functioned, but you have done a good job. And as one local newspaper publisher put it, if we don't build this thing now, we're never going to do it. So it's a big day for Sikeston. It's good for the community, for economic development, because you got the new BMU building. We're going to have a nice DPS building, and what it does, in my opinion, is it says that downtown Sikeston's safe, it's open for business, and it's a big win for the community.
No question about that. $250 a square foot would kind of give you a bit of a heart attack, I would think. That's
oh yeah, it almost double the price.
Yeah. That's a little bit. That's a little on the scary side, any way you look at it. But the critics of a new building, and there are critics out there, of course there would be. We're a diverse community with a large population, a fairly large population. The critics argue that it's too much and we don't need it. But I think what they don't realize is the point that you made earlier, and that is that the current conditions under which you operate with your what's your personnel's?
We've got a budgeted staff right now of 83.
To operate out of the building that you're operating out of now is it's just virtually impossible. I mean, as Steve said, it was antiquated and it was outdated when the post office abandoned it many years ago, and it's gone through many lifespans. But it's time, and we should as a community take a great degree of pride in this.
Yes.
Not only is it an improvement, obviously it's an improvement for your people and for the services that you can provide. But as a community, we should take pride in this.
We should, and you have to realize that any time a new business comes to town, you know, one of the first places they want to look at is they want to look at police headquarters and fire stations and the schools.
That's exactly right.
Those are the places they go.
That's right.
And it's an embarrassment for us to bring somebody, whether it's a citizen or somebody that's in our own profession from another agency, into the building that we're in. You know, give you an example. A couple of weeks ago when it was raining, I walked into my office and all my ceiling was down on top of my desk and computer and everything else.
Right.
Sure.
You know, it's a constant battle we fight with that building. It's just to the age, and we have to maintain it. You know, we have the public in there, we have prisoners in there, and we have a responsibility to all those people.
Yeah.
You are to be committed too. During our recent flooding, I think Sikeston kind of served as command central to a large extent, and the amount of law enforcement personnel and emergency responder personnel was just tremendous. I mean, if you went down by DPS on a daily basis or City Hall, you obviously saw that, and that must have been an exciting and interesting and challenging time for public safety in Sikeston.
It was, and you know, it was. It wasn't our disaster per se. We had a lot of people in the community that were affected. We had a lot of people around us that were affected, and that's part of being a good neighbor.
Absolutely,
is being there to help those individuals, because, you know, it may not be Sikeston residents, but I bet you that they have family in Sikeston.
And you're exactly right.
And
yes,
so
indeed.
anything we can do to help the other communities, because I can promise you, in our time of need, if everybody will think back to the ice storm, you know, we had fire departments and ambulance services and people from all over the state that were in here helping us.
Yeah, look at Joplin now and the people in the surrounding towns, Neosho, Springfield, they're right there helping.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do. I think one thing that's good, that sends a huge signal, as I said, this new building, there are people looking at investment in the community, people looking at moving retail, and this really sets a tone because we need to be proud of this. We need to be proud of it, and we need to get the message out that our community is being progressive and moving forward instead of sitting and wondering what we're going to do next.
And it's and you're committed for staying in the, or I believe, my opinion once again, for staying in the downtown location. I think that's important for a community because I think that's kind of an anchor. Was there ever any consideration of looking at a location outside of downtown?
We put together a search committee probably 6 or 7 years ago that consisted of myself and some staff personnel, as well as Public Safety Advisory Board, and then some leaders in the community. And that was prior to the development at the old Highway Department location.
Right.
And that was originally one of the locations and the only location we ever looked at that was outside of the downtown area.
Okay.
So the timeline of when the building, when you actually get to move into it, how long are we looking at construction phase and move in estimated?
They've got a year to build the building.
Okay.
I know that we're going to sign some paperwork middle of June. It's my hopes that maybe by end of June, 1st of July, we're starting to dig a hole over there, and you know that'll put us sometime in June or July of next year to move in.
Absolutely.
It's got to do something for morale for your guys and ladies too that work at DPS.
It does. I don't think that it's sunk in yet.
Right.
And, you know, it's one of those things that you talk about it and you talk about it and you talk about it, and until they see it and can touch it and work in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be a huge boost for morale. Nobody likes coming into a building that, you know, the toilets are always stopped up or the ceiling's falling in or it smells musty. I think the new facility will bring that about.
So what's the major focus for DPS with summer coming, the summer of 2011? What do you focus on?
We've got a lot of things going on. We've got a lot of events. You know, in today's world, we spend a tremendous amount of time providing security around local events, whether it's a run or a parade or rodeo or whatever the event is. You know, we're pretty well taxed. We've got graduation coming up this week. We assign a lot of staffing to that event. we've got a few things going on that throughout the summer that we'll have to talk about on another segment.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's the message is out there. I mean, nobody's naive to say it doesn't go on, but you know, for drug dealers, Sikeston's not that good a place to do business.
No.
It's
Well,
really,
and you know, that's the message we want to send.
Yeah.
And you know, you want to deal drugs, go somewhere else.
Sure.
Preferably out of state. We don't even want you in the state, much less in the city or the county. And that's the message we try to send. Will we ever be a drug-free community?
No.
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 But if we make it tough enough, and that's what we try to do, we want them to take their business elsewhere.
Does that continue to be the biggest challenge, the drug and the related crime that follows that?
Yeah, because I think you have to realize that probably, I'm going to say 75 to 80% of all crimes have some nexus or relationship to drugs. You know, you look at whether it's a domestic abuse situation, whether it's a theft,
Right.
any of that, it all seems to have a nexus back to narcotics in
Right.
some way.
It's frightening. You've been in law enforcement for a long time, and we won't say how long, but you've been in law enforcement about as long as I've been in newspaper business. But nonetheless, what's the biggest change you've seen over the year in law enforcement?
Oh, I think the biggest change that I've seen is, you know, obviously technology. I mean, you look at the technology today, you know, some of the more seasoned guys that are there, we joke about the days of when we knew where every payphone was in town,
sure.
because that was the only way we had to communicate back to the station. I
Right.
mean, we had radios, but, you know, there was a lot of information you didn't want to put out over the radio.
Right.
So anytime you had secure information, you know, you'd run to the nearest payphone, and you knew what the number was, and you hoped that nobody had spit in it or stuck gum on the receiver or
Right.
anything else before you picked it up.
Or Superman wasn't waiting to get
right,
right.
yeah.
right.
And, you know, the dispatchers knew exactly where to call us. So it was...
And now you actually, with technology, have a very good bird's eye view of what's going on in the main part of the city, and that's tremendous. I've witnessed it myself. Your response time is very good.
Yeah, and you know, we have a great good group of officers, and you know, it's the best group of officers we've had, and you know, we're trying to work hard to get some raises for them and get some salaries up where they need to be. You know, we're about $5,000 below CAPE and some of the other agencies around us, and you know, as I tell council all the time, if you want to run a Class A department, you're going to have to pay the salaries to recruit those
Absolutely.
people.
Public safety takes a large portion of the city budget. But then again, it does in every community. If you exclude road work, which is a separate fund in Sikeston, public safety takes a large portion of the budget. But there's a reason for that, and that's a reason that the problems in the community stem from crime, and obviously you have to have a very effective, well-staffed, well-equipped, well-trained public safety department, and I think we can all take a great degree of pride in the department that we have right now, and your leadership as well. Which, by saying that, I hope that'll get me out of a speeding ticket sometime. But nonetheless,
Yeah, right.
just thought I'd try.
Yeah.
Thought I'd try.
Yeah.
Could we edit that out? No. But it is. It takes a large portion of that, but there's a reason for that, and I think people need to understand that.
Well, you know, we are about 2/3 of the city staffing,
Right.
and we take about 50% of the budget. You know, and our biggest part of the budget is personnel costs.
Sure.
But it's like I said, if you want a Class A operation, and you want good service, and you want good response times, you want people that know what they're doing, you have to be willing to put out the money to do it.
And I'm betting with this new facility that it's going to help bring people to town, hopefully get the tax revenue up, and look at other ways where we can take care of our public safety officers, because we want good ones. We've got,
Absolutely.
and we want them to stay here.
We sit here every week and we talk about how do you grow a community. What do you tweak here and there to make the improvements? And the school system and the hospital are obviously important ingredients. But so often it comes back to effective law enforcement to provide a safe environment for the residents of the community. I mean, it just always does. And I suspect that's not just Sikeston. I think that's other communities as well. But it's your job is important, and we appreciate it, and we sincerely do.
Well, thank you, and I thank you all for the time, and
Sure.
We hope it's made
come out this
easy.
morning.
We hope it's made easier in a new public safety building.
And then the main thing is, I hope you and your officers understand that with this support of the new building, the support goes way beyond the building. We appreciate the job you've done, and we wish you Godspeed in continuing.
And a safe summer ahead.
Yes.
Yes, I hope so.
We thank you very much for joining us again on Just Saying this week. We look forward to you joining us next week. Again, any comments, criticisms, suggestions, please send them our way. We'll see you next time.